So I've decided to break this webinar down into 5 sections, and I'm on slide 2 at the moment where you can see the contents. So we'll start off with background, moving then into components of the offences. I will talk at part 3 about the geographical scope of the offences. We'll then move into sanctions, what happens if you breach the offences, and then some practical steps right at the end, which I hope will be useful for you, whether you are involved in being accused of having committed these offences, or in fact, if you're advising somebody in relation to them, all the risks that they entail. So in this section, I said I'll talk about, will HMRC actually act and what can it do? The key point to know is that there has not been a single, not one, prosecution for these offences so far. Now, that may be used to say that actually the offences are acting properly as a deterrent. Companies have put in such great, reasonable prevention procedures that no tax evasion has been facilitated at all. In my view, that's not plausible. It would be a wonderful result if it was true, but I would find that highly unlikely, just from my knowledge of how these things operate, the size of the UK, what we know about the scale of fraud in the UK and tax evasion. I explained that at the end of this particular part, I would talk about self-reporting. Now, it might seem counterintuitive that you would want to self-report commission of an offence. But this regime, the self-reporting regime, was brought in February 2019, and it is voluntary. There are certain health warnings that come with it. Firstly, that there is a criminal offence if you give false information. Secondly, that if you come forward, it is absolutely not guaranteed there will be no prosecution. It's not as though by confessing you won't be prosecuted. That is not the case. And also, just as a small point, it's not a suspicious activity report, if you've heard of those and know about those, and that will need to be filed separately if required.